Hello everybody. Today we're going to talk about doing an inventory in LiquorPOS via receiving session. Now, you're going to notice when we explain why this works really well for some stores, because what it does, it creates that checks and balances to see the date you did the inventory, how many was received or counted in this case, and it gives you a starting point to go back then look at sales. Now, it is important that the store is closed. You will need to have a report printer installed and working from all the stations. You will need to back up your data files for LiquorPOS. There's 3 folders. If you don't know how to do that, we'll refer to another video. We have to teach you that. And we suggest you have 2 persons or 2 people at each register. So, LiquorPOS. First thing is you're going to go in your print setup and you're going to make sure your report printer is set up and that it's working. All right. To give you an idea about why we're doing this, let's take a look at a product, 14-hand Chardonnay. And if you notice, on this date, it shows that we received a case. Now, this is important because it gives you a timeline or gives you accountability about what you received. We're going to take that same concept as when you receive products, whether you do a purchase order, receive miscellaneous, and we're going to set up the vendor as inventory. So you will be able to go look back and see on the day that you did inventory that you counted X number of bottles. And this also allows you, if you go ahead and count in a warehouse, you'll see a second receiving session with the vendor inventory of how many bottles you counted in that area. Now, I'll show you how this works and it'll all be clear. What you want to do is you want to go into your vendors and you're going to need to create as many inventory vendors as you have workstations. So for this example, we're going to go ahead and say that you have 2 workstations. You're going to click on New and you're going to call this vendor Inventory A. You're going to save it. It's very simple. You're going to click New and enter Inventory B. All right. So you see that we now have in our list Inventory A and Inventory B. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go into Edit and Customize. This is completed after you have completed a backup. And remember, you must complete a backup because what we're about to do is permanent. Once you go to Edit and Customize, you choose Other, and you click on Enable Item Group Edit menu on this machine. You only need to do it on one machine, and it is very important. We suggest that you must undo this so that no employees can accidentally use it, or even a manager that might have access. After you click OK, you're going to go into Edit, and now you will see the option Item Edit Group. You're going to click on that, and it says Welcome to the Item Group Edit Wizard. Go ahead and click on Next, and you can choose a certain subset of items if you want. For our purposes, we're going to leave it blank, and then it's going to ask if you want to select all items. You do, so you say yes. Here's a subset of the items or number of items you have in your store. And it brings you to the fields you want to edit. Now, scroll down to quantity on hand, double click it, and the field to be changed is quantity on hand, and the new value is going to be 0. Click Next. You're going to confirm that the quantity on hand will be 0. You're going to finish. Do you sure you want to apply these changes? Yes. And that will go through and process the edits for you. Okay. Now if we took out our item list, we are going to see all the items have a quantity on 0. Now, what I do is I tell them to have one person behind the register and one person is counting the bottles and bringing them to the person. So you open a receiving session, and since I'm on register 1, I'm going to choose inventory A. Whoever is working on register 2 can choose inventory B. they will bring the bottle up. The person who is walking around the store will bring the bottle up to the person behind the counter working the register, and they will scan the item. For our purposes, we'll just choose it. And they're going to say that there is 6 bottles or 5. There's 5 bottles. You tab or enter and you click OK. You notice we're saying there are 5 units, and you continue working through the store, scanning the items. And you keep going, maybe the añejo, and there's only 2 bottles. You click OK. So what you find is as you scan it, they're going to be building a list. Now my trick is 30 items is on one 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. So I suggest that they stop counting at 30 items. If they go over, then let them go ahead as 60. So once you get 30 items counted, the standard finish the receiving session, yes. When you enter the invoice number, I would enter the day's date. And you can also put a hint in there like east wall if you want to. Click OK. You're going to print the receiving document so that you have staple it and you have a record. And we're going to refer back to it. So that's very important. And then after it's printed, they continue counting. So let's go ahead and take a look at our work here and see what came up. For example, we counted the Cabernet. So we now have a purchase history that 5 bottles, I think that was 5 bottles. How many are in a case? There's 12 in a case. Okay. So that 5 bottles were counted for inventory A, and you could see the receiver number 3. So you'll be able to reprint that receiving session. Now, a manager or a person who is responsible for entering product that can't be found, editing product, checking price, anything like that, the discrepancies that might be found, is going to be looking at those printed receiving sessions, and you're going to want them to take a look. Is there an accident? Did somebody type in a number 99 and they meant to type in 9? We're all human. This task is very tedious and people do grow fatigued. So my suggestion is you have a person at each register behind it, entering, 2 people counting, and then you have a manager or an owner who's able to edit products, enter new products that aren't found, who will also review the receiving sessions and see if there's any discrepancies that they can see on that sheet. As the day gets later and the longer you've been counting, that's usually when they come up. Now, you keep going through the whole store that way. What's nice about it is, let's say that we are going to count now the back office or the storage area. Let's enter that same Cabernet. And in the storage area, we have 3 cases. Okay. So we've stayed in the back storage area. It's still inventory A. But now when I get to 30 items and I finish that receiving session, I can still enter the date, but maybe I put BS for back storage. You're going to print that receiving document. And it's nice is if you take a look at that item, you have 3 cases in the back storage and the 5 bottles. So, being that there's 12 bottles in a case, we should have 41 bottles. And it gives you a nice starting point. The reason I like doing it this way is, yes, it's an older program. It has some limitations, but gives you the option to take a look. When did you do inventory? What was counted into the inventory? And then you can look at your sales history. As you go do a spot check through your store, and you know that you had 41 bottles on this date, you've sold 3, you know how many you need to have on the shelf. So this is my recommendation. Remember, our suggestion is you need a report printer to back up, to reprint. You need to back up your data files. Very, very important. And then you need 2 persons at each station and a manager walking around. Hope this helps. Have a great day. And remember to subscribe to watch helpful hints.